Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back on the second update 1.87 dev server for War Thunder, and we're going to be having a look at the Leopard 2A5, but I want to preface this with two things. Since this is going to be the first video that is coming out for the second set of dev server videos that you're going to see, the one thing to understand is Gaijin themselves have said that the armor values present on a lot of the top tier vehicles may not be correct, and basically they talked about the M1A1, the Leopard 2A5, the Challenger 2, so just to make sure that you know all of that information. On top of this as well, this is a dev server. As it says in the intro, everything is either subject to change or just understand this is a test. This is not live, so, just make sure to understand that. But anyway, let's get into some of the vehicles. The first one being the Leopard 2A5, a rank 7 battle rating 10.0 vehicle for the Germans. You can find it as the only rank 7 vehicle at 10.0. My guess is that what they're going to do with stuff like the Leopard 2A5, the M1A1, they're going to set it as basically 10.0, and then when people start getting it, raise the BR of it. The first thing to understand of this machine, I'm pretty sure that this, at least right now, is the most armored machine that we have in game, and that is because of its composite armor. The T80 and this definitely rival each other in that regard. It is also sporting the 120mm Rheinmetall L44 cannon and has access to the 7.62mm machine gun on top, but does not have access to a coaxial gun. The only thing that it has is this optics, showing that it has 8 times to 12 times optics, which I think is pretty good, or it's good enough, I should say. Not the best in the game, some have up to 16, but for this, 8 to 12 is pretty good. On top of this, it has a crew of 4. If we have a look and take off the armor, you have the driver in the front, next to the ammo storage. Then, of course, you have the loader, the commander, and the gunner, who are all incredibly protected in this machine. Also, you have the ready rack, which is here, and I believe it has the same system as the Leopard 2A4, where it does have blowout panels. We'll have to test that for you in a later video. Anyway, let's have a look at the Leopard 2A5 and other things. The modifications are important on this machine. It starts off with a standard DM23 round, 410, 355, 236 across the board. Then, as a rank 1 modification, you can get your hands on a pretty spicy heat FS round, the DM12A1, 650, 562, 324. This will go through pretty much everything on the Abrams apart from the turret cheeks. Then we have the DM33 round, which is of course the rank 4 modification APFS DS, and then you also have the laser rangefinder to look out for as well. Also something to note in this video, since once again this is the first one, they did say that the post-pen effects shown by specific APFS DSs will not be seen as correctly modeled in the X-ray. So you'll see an APFS DS annihilate something, but in the X-ray it may look a little bit different, at least right now on the dev server. The DM33 pens, 481, 416, 278. This makes it slightly worse than the top tier Abrams round. The Abrams gets the M829, 493, 427, 284. And so, as you can see, it is slightly worse, but in the context of things, it isn't that worse, if that makes sense. The difference between the two rounds is very much negligible, especially with what you are going to fight. So, let's talk about the big change from the first dev server to this dev server for this vehicle, and that is, of course, the armor. The armor on it is finally modeled, which it wasn't on the first dev server. We have spaced armor on the side, 15 35mm. Then we have, of course, the front, which around the gunner, or at least around the optics where the gunner is sat behind, 14 440 80. Very strong. 35, 280, 350 on the breech, and then the composite on the right-hand side is 14, 585, and 45mm. Then around here, which is of course the ready rack, 35, 520, 45. This thing is incredibly well armored on the turret. Then on the upper glacis and the lower glacis, you can see the composite armor goes down to the lower. It's 35mm, 520 again, and 45mm. So overall, this thing is incredibly armored right now. And once again, I'll preface this with saying these armor values are not final. going to the protection analysis, if we actually get the best USA round, which is, at least what I've found, the best APF SDS round that can be fired, 500 meters range, 484 pen, the turret is sporting 1200 millimeters, nearly 1300 millimeters worth of protection. 950, it goes down to 700 in areas, but it's because of these triangular plates. Even if you hit it right, like in the center here, you are still looking at a crazy amount. And then on this side, once again, 1300, 1000, just ridiculous amounts of armor on the turret. So you ain't going through that. The upper glacis, 700 to 800. This is ridiculous. Lower glacis is a little, you can pen it in areas, you know, you can pen it right there under the composite armor, but if you move up to the composite armor, you're looking at 500 to 600 millimeters. So in order to pen this on the front, you're going to have to really hit the lower parts of this machine or the turret ring. The turret ring is still only 41 millimeters, so it does have Abrams syndrome, where you can sneak it through the turret ring and be able to kill stuff, and I'm guessing with the way that it's going to work here, or at least this is the way that you would hope to work if you're facing this, is if you hit this lower part of the pyramid, it bounces down into the triangle, but we'll have to see. The thing just to understand is, from my point of view, this thing is ridiculously armored on the front. You know, the general areas where you would shoot are just ridiculously armored. You have one weak spot, and that is the turret ring, and that is it. If you can't hit that, he's going to nuke you. And especially from an Abrams point of view, the M1A1, with its armor, because even though it's got a strong round, its armor right now, modeled in the game, if we have a look at protection analysis, just change it over to the German one, because obviously, in my opinion, these are going to be the top competing vehicles. You can pen its low glacis, you can pen its upper glacis, you can pen its turrets, you can pen everywhere with it, right? So, the German can lol pen the M1A1, and the Leopard 2A5, there is no lol pen. You have to be able to aim, and the only place where you can really aim is the turret ring, at least on the front, as I said. So that is something to take into account. When we look at the sides, this is where it gets interesting. So the sides, if you're shooting this bit, 600 to 700 millimeters, 1600, sorry, and then it goes all the way down to, 1000. So you ain't going through this bit. This bit here, you will go through though, so if you see it on the side, just shoot here. Shoot at the bottom and try and spring upwards, trying to hit the crew. Or you can hit it here as well, and maybe hit the ammunition. There is not really any armor back here, so you can shoot through there and maybe hit the ammo once again. The booty is only 20 millimeters, the top is only 80 millimeters, so if you come from behind, you'll annihilate it. Just make sure if you're at the sides, do not shoot this bit. Right, and do not shoot this bit. Make sure, even, look at here, right, you can't even pen it here. So make sure to shoot these areas. It just shows you how insanely protected the crew is on this damn thing. If this makes it alive in this state, my god, like, this thing's really going to do very well. Just because of the fact it's got great survivability. It's very hard to actually kill the turret of this thing, where at least the Leopard 2A4, there are areas you can pen. It also has the 9 degrees gun depression to a rotation speed at 34 degrees per second, so still incredibly fast. And it also is powered by a 1500 horsepower engine that you can find here, the MTU MB838 CA-M500. It also has access to some nice customizations. I thought it would get some more customizations, to be honest, just because I thought, generally when we go up, it would be nice to just see more camouflages, since generally we do have more. The carc is always nice, the tricolor that you can see here, and then of course it does have the desert camouflage as well. So I think we'll rock the desert camouflage today, just because we rocked the carc the last time. But overall, in my opinion, if we just look at the top tier vehicles right now, the T-80U, the Abrams, this, and then the Challenger 2, this to me is the strongest vehicle. And it's because of the armor and because of the fact that it has the second best round in the game. It also has a 6.9 second reload, at least with the crew that I have, and that should be able to get down to 6 seconds. So it doesn't have the best reload, since the Abrams is down to 5 seconds, and so is the Type 90, but 6 seconds is definitely serviceable on this machine. I'm just, I'm kind of worried right now, and I forgot to put the skin on, so I'll go and do that. I'm kind of worried about this machine now, but as I said, the armor values are not final, and I hope they're not final, because if they are, we're going to have issues. Just let's take it from a point of view where they are valued. This thing is more armored than the T80U. That basically means that the only place that you can reliably pen it is a turret ring, which the Leopard 2A5 doesn't have to give to you. It can also get hit in the cupolas, I suppose, with stuff like HE, if you really wanted to kind of batter it like that. It also goes 31 kilometers an hour backwards, which is a good reverse speed. But yeah, you could cupola trap it maybe. Maybe that's a way you could go through the turret. Maybe optics trap it, but generally that won't work. So you're pretty much stuck with a vehicle which has an incredible turret. And we're talking about a turret which is better than the Challenger 2. So all of those talks about how the Challenger 2 is going to be this hold-down beast, well, amplify that with the speed of the Leopard, we're up to 50 kilometers an hour already, and amplify it with the gun, which is better than the top-tier round on the Challenger 2, and amplify it with the size, because the size is technically smaller than the Challenger 2. You can see why I personally have issues with this tank being added instead of a version such as the C variant, sorry, of the Leopard 2A4. So we definitely have an interesting situation if this makes it to live. You know how they generally sometimes like to balance with repair cost or with BR. This, to me, in its current state, would be the first vehicle I would chuck up to 10.7 without even thinking, because a 9.0 vehicle cannot deal with this. The stabilizer is wonderful as well. Like, what is the downside to this vehicle? That's maybe a question. The downside is that it only has one machine gun, so its ability to kill stuff like helicopters, which can't pen its turret, ability to kill, stuff going forward, like when it comes to light vehicles, maybe that's a little bit reduced. Its speed is a little bit less than its contemporaries, the T80U. I love those bounces. It's a little bit slower than its T80U max speed, but the acceleration is completely fine. Same with the Abrams. It's a little bit less in maneuverability, right? It's a little bit more, or a lot more in armor. And its gun is pretty much satisfactory, right? Its gun is the second best in the game. There's a reason why last patch, the JM33, was seen as such a powerful round. This basically has that for the Leopard 2. So we'll see how it goes. I'm worried. I'm very worried about the turrets. It is worth noting that if you actually do this, though, you do have quite a nice little trap shot that you can hit. Even if it's elevated slightly, you have a trap shot under the breach that people can hit. So you don't technically have to shoot, at the turret or at the horizontal turret drive, which is pretty much the only place to pen on this thing. I think the survivability is definitely the best in the game right now, because when this thing is penned, the crew is at least spaced out, right? Unless you get a good hit on... Let's just see how you can pen the turret. It is only a T64B though. But the... I went through and didn't kill anyone. But yeah, it's going to be hard to one-shot this machine, since the crew is quite spread out. The only place to really one-shot it is if you hit proper lower glacis, like right here, and then it bounces up, hits the ammo. So I think right now, at least with the current values that we have in game, this is the strongest of the top tier vehicles. Just remember to take it with a pinch of salt. There is always, it is a dev server, and stuff will change. They've even said that values are going to change. I hope that they do change for the armor on this thing, otherwise it will be de facto the best vehicle. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.